Right, good evening members, and good evening those residents looking online and other visitors who may be watching. This is an extraordinary full council to start this evening's procession of meetings, although there's only two, but a procession all the same. So just first of all, if you can turn your mobile phones off or to silent, please, while we deal with this. And item one, apologies.
We have apologies from Councillor Driver and Councillor Wing, who both have personal commitments.
All right, thank you. Anybody else got any apologies for anybody? No? Thank you. Any declarations of interest in relation to this one matter on the agenda? No?
Apologies. Councillor Hudson.
Item 3 is Pie Factory Music Community Return on Investment Report. Members, you're asked to consider providing a financial contribution towards the completion of a community return on investment report being prepared by consultants for Pie Factory to support their bid to retain the Ramsgate Youth Centre. I asked the Town Clerk to try and get this before members as soon as possible, because I think, as we all know, I think we basically all have the same mind that we should support these as much as possible. Personally, having been there with Councillor Green and probably others of you have been there, you know, the work that they do is amazing, and to lose this would be very detrimental to our young people of Ramsgate. The report. The report is the quote of community return on investment, which you've all got a copy of, or should have. Now, basically what it comes down to is everything that within that report that the consultants will do has a cost of £2,730. That's the core project. There are optional extras, if you like, for interviews, etc., which is another £210, and the total of that, with those interviews, will be £2,940. Can I just also make a comment before I open this up to you? The Town Clerk has asked both of our Kent County Council representatives as to whether they would be able to put any financing towards this. Unfortunately, one hasn't responded. Second one did, but there's been no just acknowledging the email, but there's been nothing. There's been nothing since. So I just wanted to, no apparent reason, but just to say that the Town Clerk tried to see whether they could get investment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose, and then I'll open up for debate if it's seconded, that we give £2,730 for the core project. I'm sure that they can find £210 if that is what they require for further vision. So that's my proposal, members. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Austin. So members, open to you for any discussion. Councillor Makinson.
I'm fully supportive of this. I think it's very important that we do things for young people. And slightly off this major subject, we've got all this money coming into the town for projects, some of which are not very well defined. And I think we ought to push the latest one. What's the latest one?
Plans and neighbourhoods.
Yeah.
Plans and neighbourhoods.
Yes. Can we push for something other places for the pie factory because it's a successful organisation?
It would qualify
Yes.
under the government's schemes.
Yes.
Can I,
Can we
if I could,
finish that?
yeah,
Sorry.
that's all right. We can, councillor Green, as you know, is our representative, so the board's still got to be set up, it's still got to be, that's all still got to be done. This needs to be done now.
I know, I agree with this.
This needs to be done now, that's why I put it forward, because they need to get this done, because it needs to get in front of Kent County Council. And if Kent County Council do agree to not close it, then that gives you more time
Yes.
for that to be proposed. But what we would say as well is that on that fund for neighbourhoods, it's the town council. It's got a representative, but it's got no real hit value, because that's not what it's about. It's about residents and it's about businesses. So they may decide that they would want to support it, and I think that's something that we would do. Jane.
Yeah, I think it's essential that we support this. We've all been very vociferous, everyone here has been very vociferous in their support, and this is the least we can do. And it's a shame that in view of the fact that Laura's contacted both the county councillors, that we haven't had some response from them. But yeah.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, I agree. It's absolutely deplorable that neither of our county councillors have even bothered to respond to our suggestion. If anybody is watching this, that they note that. This is an absolutely vital facility for the town. You've only got to look at the current news in Broadstairs and Margate. Luckily not here yet, but it'll come. To realise that we're letting our youth thin it down. And it's not us, it's what it was the tourists at Kent County Council. Now we'll see what the new lot do, but it doesn't look good if they can't even respond to us.
I mean, to be, oh, sorry, Councillor.
Yes, I support the proposal.
To be fair to them, I don't know whether they would be allowed to put their whatever money that they get for whatever, but I take it they get money the same as we do here, a small, tiny amount that we have in comparison.
It's just increased
to them.
Increased it.
So then they should be able to do that.
They've decided that some of their allowance will go, extra allowance will go on stuff for the community projects.
Yeah.
So they have got more money actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Members, anything else?
No.
Proposal is that we give 2,700.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Lauren. Yes.
Sorry, may I suggest that an appropriate budget would be the new projects, including legal expenses budget?
Yes.
Yep.
Members happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just comment on the plan for neighbourhoods. Zoe is going to be a member of the committee. The first tranche of bids needs to be with the government by November. So there's not a lot of time. And the committee hasn't met yet, so we've got quite a bit of work to do.
Yes.
We get projects together and, the usual background information the government will need to show that it produces the outputs that they want. So, we can do that quite quickly.
Okay. Councillor Nixie.
Could I just ask, I mean, I fully support this, obviously, but could I just ask us to send an email to our Kent County councillors explaining what we have done and why, and the urgency of it. And if that's possible, to also send this information of what we've done to support to whichever officer is relevant in Kent County Council, so it doesn't just sit in somebody's email box and doesn't go anywhere, that they are actually aware that we are desperate trying to support this because it is vital for our community.
I think personally, just to advance it a little bit, would be to, by all means, do to our two representatives of Ramsgate, also the cabinet member, when we ever find out who the cabinet member is, if they can actually tell us, and I would put the chief executive.
Yes, thank you. That's where I was going. In that form, let's take it far. That's better.
I think my concern, probably like a lot of you as well, is that Councillor Green's made the point that our KCC members haven't responded, and whilst we do this, I don't want them taking any credit for anything that might happen, because this council has fully supported the pie factory in several different ways, the finances, etc. I think we need to have that stuck in the back of our mind there somewhere.
No, we don't usually do press releases, but you could consider one.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
I think we need to do more than 3, 6 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Members okay with that? Agreed? Okay. So we have a motion on the table, members, so all in favour, please show. That's carried, thank you. And that is the end of this extraordinary full council vision, and I thank you, members, for turning up for this. Very important. Date and time of the next meeting is the 30th of July, 7 p.m. And in one day I get out the hot seat and David gets in it, and then the F&GP meeting will then start.
Can I just say something to I just want to say,
Welcome to this meeting of the Finance and General Purposes Committee of Ramsgate Town Council. Do we have any apologies?
We have apologies from Councillor Driver and Councillor Hudson due to private commitments.
Any others? No? Item 2, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest of anything on the agenda? No, thank you. Previous minutes. To approve the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Finance and General Purposes Committee held on the 19th of March. It's a true record. Can I have a proposer and seconder that we accept those minutes?
I was there. I think I missed it. I was away.
I'll propose that they are a true record.
I think I was here, so.
It's seconded. All those in favour? It's passed. Accounts and budgets. To receive a verbal update on the implementation of the new account software called Scribe. Attachment 4 is intended to show the cost centres and cost codes that have been created. The sums should not be considered, as these are an incomplete picture at present.
Right. Thank you, Chair. So this year we're moving on to an account software package called Scribe, and although there's quite a lot of catching up to do, actually the functionality of it is really, really good. We're really impressed with the improvement on the previous system. There's certain things that are taking quite a long time, for example, setting up hundreds of suppliers. It's time consuming, but actually the product itself we're very happy with. And my apologies to the chair that there wasn't actually full accounts for you to consider tonight, but I'm hoping that it's all going to come together in the next couple of weeks, and then an extraordinary meeting could be, of course, required. One change with Scribe is that there's only 2 layers to your names of budgets. You have a cost centre with cost codes underneath it. Previously, we could have 3 layers, so you could have sub-budgets. And so this is really just to show you how the layout is going to be. And some of the wording I've taken the initiative to change slightly, where, for example, just to try and kind of standardise the wording, so that in capital projects you don't have allotment capital projects but a custom house sinking fund. Just to try and make the wording common throughout. Thank you, Chair.
Just a note, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, duly noted.
Duly noted.
Great. Yeah, very clear.
It will be a great improvement. Item 5 then, grant procedure. As resolved at March's committee meeting, the Town Clerk is putting forward the following items for consideration. I'll take them in turn. Number 1, a draft proposal for an easy-to-access grant budget. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. So in front of you, you've got the draft application form, with the intention being that this is something that is much simpler to access for smaller grants. I think the questions being asked are quite straightforward, but really the consideration is, where does this potentially fit within our existing grant budgets? For example, should these funds come from the existing grant budgets, with maybe 10% of the Ramsgate Fund and Events Fund to be available through this method? Or should there be a new grants budget established, in which case what is the remit? Does this replicate the idea of the ward allowances, in which case would the ward allowance budgets benefit from being increased? The Chair has also suggested that the scheme requires endorsement, could be endorsed by 3 councillors from at least 2 wards, and that the Chair of F&GP or the council requires evidence of the requested funding. So I think the application should be quite straightforward, but it's really the consideration that if this was approved, how does it fit in with existing processes?
I'd just like to comment that I was concerned that we already have the ward allowances. This needs to be different in some way to them, otherwise we might just as well increase the ward allowances. And that was my suggestion of making it different, because it needs to be something that affects more than one ward.
Yes.
And the other thing was, I forgot. I think all our other grants come through the council, and I don't think it should be any different. It should be the council rather than F&GP. Any comments? Yes. Councillor Crittenden.
Yeah, it feels like we're adding another layer and another complication in, and I'm dubious about doing that. Although I understand the reason why, but I'm really not too sure about that. I don't think putting it into the ward grants is particularly suitable because I think some wards do naturally have more events in them because of the nature of the ward. That wouldn't necessarily resolve the issue. I'm not convinced that it would, how it would help. Convince me.
I think it could be quite useful. I mean, I agree about the grants and I agree about the wards. I mean, for instance, my own ward, we don't have many events, but I think it's useful to have this in place in case.
Councillor Austin.
Yes, I think it was my suggestion originally, and I need to apologise to the town clerk. She did send me an email ages ago saying, how did you think this would work? And I never got back to us. She's had to make it up as she went along, and I'm sorry about that. But I think your suggestion of that it needs to be something that wouldn't be appropriate for a ward grant is a good one. And I haven't really thought about the overlap with the ward grants in that sort of way, but I suppose I also thought at the end of the day, we give our ward grants to things we know about in our wards, and with the best will in the world and however hard we work, there's going to be stuff going on in our wards that we don't know about, but that's really valuable and important in the community. So it was with that in mind, I suppose, really, that I thought about this, something that it would just be a quick and easy way for people to apply for something very small that would just help them. And I suppose I was thinking mostly about an event, but it could be a small capital outlay, you know, buy a planter or buy a something or other, buy an item of sports equipment or whatever. To be honest, it was just this would be a good idea to have without having thought out ramifications, as you said.
Well,
I think it's a good idea to have it, belt and braces, because if we don't have it, then something comes up, then we've got to put the policy in. And we do have, in front of the grant allocation, quite a lot of things that are very last minute. And I know that the next person will be resolving some of that, hopefully, today.
Anybody want to make a proposal, or shall I propose my suggestions?
Could I just ask another question? When you suggested that it should be endorsed by 3 councillors from at least 2 different wards, does that automatically mean that the project has to affect those wards? Or could it be that somebody thinks, Councillor Alban thinks it's a marvellous idea, even though it's mostly happening in Montefiore ward or whatever it is?
No, it wouldn't have to affect. No.
That's fine then, yeah.
It could be the whole town.
It could be the whole town, or it might be one specific thing, but a number of councillors agree it's a good idea. Yeah, great, thank you.
Well, I'll propose my suggestions then.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favour? Against? Abstain? That's carried.
Right, can it be clarified where is the money coming from and what is the budget?
Any suggestions?
Trip hazard.
I suggest there should be new money. But I don't know where it's coming from. We have a contingency, do we not? I've forgotten what it's called.
So you've got new projects, including legal expenses.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Sort that one.
And the budget, the overall budget itself?
Yeah.
5k?
I was thinking 5.
Yeah.
I'll propose 5k.
Yeah, seconded.
That's quite a lump, really.
Quite a lot of-
For 300.
300 quid, isn't it?
300
Yeah.
quid.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be.
Is that too much? 3k?
No.
5k. And if
They can always say
we
it.
don't spend it all, then we know for next time, don't we?
It's too much than too little.
Okay. Then part 2 of 5 is a report considering how to weight the grant budgets throughout the year. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. So at the moment, this year and last year, the council has started allocating the budget for 25% per quarter. And you asked for this to be considered. And looking at the last 2 years' worth of applications, I would suggest that a sensible weighting could be that in quarter 1, April to June, 35% of the budget is available. Quarter 2, 35% of the budget is available. Quarter 3, 20% of the budget is available. And quarter 4, 10% of the budget is available.
Councillor Hetherington.
Yeah, I think this is a really good idea, and everybody on the grant allocation was very happy about this because, you know, we have had a number of where we would have liked to give them some money, and because we haven't got any in the pot because of the way we've decided to do it in the past, this will make a difference, and it's realistic.
Councillor Cridlington.
Yeah, I always, when I first raised this a couple of years ago, I always envisaged that it would be weighted during the year. I think it has taken the first couple of years to actually give the evidence of what that weighting should be, so definitely support it being weighted. And I've seen the challenges that the grant committee has had in trying to make the money work through the 4 quarters, so yeah.
Yeah.
If you apply for a grant in the first or second quarter, and for whatever reason don't get it, can you then apply for the next quarter?
Yes, if you don't get it, yes. If you get it, no.
Yes, obviously, yeah. Okay, they can have several stabs at it.
I'd just like to comment what a great success the grant scrutiny, whatever it's called, committee is.
Yes.
Been. It's reassuring.
Job they have.
It's reassuring.
It is one of the better things that we've done.
Can I just respond to Councillor Mills? We have, in where there have been difficulties with an application, we've actually had some personal interaction to assist with applications because some people really have, not got the kind of idea of what we actually want, so you can reapply. So, yeah.
So all those in favour? It's carried. Item 6, information technology. This is in 2 parts. First part's to receive a report from Mr. D. Williams, Marketing and Communications Officer, and consider the proposed details therein to change the Council's online domain to a .gov.uk address. This may sound trivial, but I think it's really important from just the weight that what we do is seen in the outside world, having a .gov address. So I'm going to propose that we adopt that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Does that mean our email addresses will change?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We asked Dean to consider how to make that smooth as possible. We have
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Williams was.
Do you want me to elaborate through the report to guide you through now?
just
Decisions.
quickly, can it be made easy to change over?
Yes. So that there will be an overlay and a transition of about 2 years.
That's good, thank you.
Oh, okay.
2 years.
Second part, we need to postpone, so we go offline. Is that right?
Sorry?
They just recommended this matter be considered confidentially.
I have to say, we initially thought it was going to be confidential, but when I thought about the content, I thought, actually, no, there isn't the justification.
Oh, okay, well, let's
So I
go
think
ahead
this
then.
can be in.
So item 2 under this item is to receive another report considering the recommendation came down regarding network infrastructure for the customers. Is recommended that the matter be considered. Oh, sorry, forget that. Is that You going to lead us on this or should you? Yeah.
Yep, so, over the last year since upgrading, they've now gone away with, main landline connections, so all of that fertilising through internet through ubiquity. So we've had quite a major struggle with calls dropping, which I think the current councils have encountered when they're from the office. So the infrastructure in the building is actually okay, it's fine, it's the hardware that we're using. So on the wall over there, there's some switches that are based around the building, just behind that box, that are about 20 years old. So they're actually, the bandwidth that's coming into the building is 1 gig. They're only capable of doing 100 meg, which is 10 times less than what we're getting in the building. So I think the building is due a major hardware upgrade. I did get a quote for a recabling, which I think would have been disruptive. It would have involved cutting a hole in the chamber here, dropping a cable down and connecting up. But we would be responsible for the restoration and repair of the hole, and all the details after. So it would just be 1 cable for that quote that's in the report. For a full recabling of the building, we were talking months out of commission, like removing everything in the building, planning commission, listed building consent, which I don't think is needed with the current cabling we have. So I've sat down with one of our technicians, Chris, who's got a networking background as well, and we've gone through an efficient and cost-effective approach of actually just upgrading the hardware. So one of these changes is we'll be able to remove the free Wi-Fi broadband line that is downstairs, because the users can separate into 4 separate areas. So we can have secure lines for devices, say, councillors. We can have one for staff, one for visitors to the visitor information centre, and we can have one for the ground floor, one for the first floor. For those of you connected tonight, there is a new router behind the TV that is now working on full fibre. So you might notice a difference in the speeds as you're using your devices. But yeah, we've pressed that spare on that would be used, so we've been into that tonight, so one notice the difference. So yeah, this will boost the network speeds and the security, because we can isolate each port and control when it comes on and when it turns off. So also is the energy usage of the building. So if, for example, obviously we've got weekends, so we can turn the port for the printer off at weekends. So then it's going to save energy throughout the building as well.
I think I'm convinced, Dean. What's the bottom line?
So I think in the report, it's going to cost just around £1,500 to upgrade the equipment. This allows us to expand as well. So if we have, whether it's more staff or we decide to go down the route of expanding our CCTV, I know we already have a contract, but if we bought that in-house, that's another saving future down the line. So yeah, for 1,500 quid, I think this would set us for years to come without making real changes to the building that aren't necessary.
Do we have a budget?
Yes, this would be in the IT hardware budget, of which there's £3,000 with no demands or commitments at the moment.
Yep.
I mean, I fully support this, because we need to, we need to keep up, we need to move forward, and especially moving forward. And I think it would be a boon for the council, certainly for the staff here, and for us when it becomes necessary. So I fully support the chair.
Climate change hat on, I'm very pleased to see that it uses less energy, and actually that should save us money as well.
Indeed.
Just to add as well, the one more band line for the free Wi-Fi that we would ditch, we wouldn't need that line anymore. That would save us £620 a year. So in 3 years, it would pay for itself.
Very good. And security, better?
Yes.
Yep, so we'll be able to do all traffic, all connections, and each individually secure each port.
Great.
Whereas at the moment, we have no control.
I'll propose that we go with this. Sorry, Councillor Austin.
Just wanted to say, could we also thank Mr Williams for the image about the people going through the door, because for those of us who are a bit challenged on these matters, it helped make it make sense.
Yeah, second, Chair.
I seconded. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you, Dean. Next item is item 7. To receive and note the climate change task group minutes from the 26th of March. Did you want to say anything, Councillor Austin?
No, we've sent an update since, so this is a while ago now.
Proposed noting,
Shall
Chair.
we note? Proposed noting, yeah.
Thank you.
Item 8 then on the agenda, Armed Forces Day 2026, to receive a report from the Town Clerk and to consider how to proceed with suggestions contained therein for an enhanced Armed Forces Day celebration this year. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. So the annual Armed Forces Day event features a formal parade, service and reception. The chair of the RNA proposes expanding the 2026 event into a larger public celebration with stalls, entertainment and an extended parade route. But this would be for the council to fund, organise, take responsibility for. The things that have been suggested are things that we've done before. We know how to do them. We know the cost. It's estimated that the expanded cost would be £6,000 in addition to the current cost of about £1,200 after our usual grant of £500 from the Ministry of Defence. One thing that you'll possibly be saying more is, I think going forward we are probably going to need to start considering private marshals more, depending on when things are timetabled. The technicians have been, I think, from end of May to the event just gone, there has been a lot on, and there's certain things like Armed Forces Day and Operation Dynamo which are set dates that can't be moved. So the quote I've given, it may come back to say that actually some more private marshals budget needs to go into that. So the committee is asked to decide whether to add a social public celebration element to Armed Forces Day 2026. At the moment, that would just be adding it to next year's draft budget, and then the staff would know that to implement it.
Councillor Crittenden. It's your committee's baby, really.
Which is also picking up on correspondence that the Town Clerk and I have had, that I think actually probably links in with this. The only concern I have is the impact on staffing, which you've already just mentioned, not just on marshalling, but the extra organisation and everything else. And I know how much, I could see how much work went into Operation Dynamo and Ramsgate Day. I only see a fraction of what our staff do, I think. I'm aware that there's a whole ton more than I actually see. So the only concern I have is as we expand, and I like the idea, don't get me wrong, but I just want to make sure that we have the staff base that is able to take on additional involvement, because it is a lot of work, so yeah, that's my only comment really at this stage.
I thought Ramsgate Day was tremendous.
It was superb.
It was.
And the atmosphere, was very light and really ideal for the location. The music and everything worked. Armed Forces Day tends to be a bit different, doesn't it? It's more formal and so I don't think it would work in quite the same way, but they're talking about adding celebratory type things to it. I'd like to know more, really.
Yeah. Chair, if I may, it's very nice of somebody to recommend this and then not have to pay for it. I like yourself, I think it's there for a specific reason. We are supporting our armed services. It's never has been a jolly up afterwards. You know, the RNA was it the RNA? Yeah, we could go back and have a drink or a coffee or something. And I think that's all that's necessary. I think if there are military charities involved, then they could be part of they could, when the people are watching, they can go around to people and get that. We don't need a specific role like that. I personally, I don't support that.
Any other comment? Yeah.
I think it's the bringing together something that's quite a solemn event with a lot of jollity. I don't quite see how it will work. You know, Ramsgate Day, even we managed it with the little ships, that it was something solemn and we remembered people who had died, but we were also celebrating the heroism of our ordinary people at that time. And so it was positive at the same time as being a remembrance. But I can't see how
it doesn't fit in.
They would work like that.
It's a question of whether they want to change. If they want to change it into celebrating the current armed forces, then it could be different. Because there's plenty of kit they could bring along, I would guess, for the youngsters to see. But at the moment, it tends to be remembering our debt to the armed forces, or that's how I've seen it.
Chair, if they want to do a longer route, that's entirely up to them, isn't it? You know, we can help with that. I mean, that's not a problem if they want a longer march, But certainly, I don't think we should fork out the money for a.
I'm looking for a proposal. Anybody?
Well, the only. No, go on, Jane. Please do. No, I said.
Oh, but that we don't do this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second.
For all the reasons that everybody stated.
So we write back to them, explaining our concerns. Don't completely shut the door. See what they say. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Item 9, Councillor Training Plan. Receive a draft training plan with accompanying report from the Town Clerk and to consider how to proceed with the questions contained therein. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. This is possibly a little bit premature, but it is on my mind that at the moment I think we're too reliant, and I've been too reliant on the fact that you're all getting relevant training from Thanet District Council, which the majority of you do have access to, but it does mean that there are 3 people who are out the loop, and this is something that's not. It's not going to improve once there's a unitary authority, when there'll be much fewer dual hatters. Also, at the moment, it is in the interests of the district monitoring officer to train town and parish councillors. I think there's a reluctance because it's time consuming, but it's something that has been promised for the last couple of years, but is just not forthcoming from Thanet District Council. So before you is a draft training plan, that is expected that all councillors will undertake. And you could consider that a record of training be put on the website. Training need not be someone coming and standing before you. So it's there's quite a lot of reading in here, and then also I've tried to find courses, things that it's easy to be available for us. It's not reliant on having people come for £1,000 to train everyone all together on the same time and date. Also, it's trying to come up with something that people are likely to do. And if there's hours and hours and hours of training, the risk is that people are going to say, they're not going to want to take part in it. So the online courses are all quite short, less than an hour long, don't cost much. There's enough budget. It's only £16 per member, with the hope that these are quite accessible for people. This is really something to be in place after the next council election, but I have, in which case I'd suggest that you have a budget in an election year of £4,000, followed by £1,000 a year in a non-election year, with the next year for members to think about where there are gaps in their knowledge on this list and make use of the training that I've suggested.
I think it's important that we've got something in place for new councillors, certainly, and for other councillors that may, technology moves on and we all need training. So I agree with putting something in place. Councillor Austin.
I agree that it's a good idea to have this. It does look an extremely comprehensive list of things. I think it might be a little bit overwhelming to totally new councillors. I still think we should be pushing Thanet District Council to make training that's available to district councillors available also to town councils where appropriate. Obviously it isn't all appropriate, but a lot of things are. It's happening anyway. It seems quite crazy not to be inviting town councillors along. The other thing I wanted to ask was whether there might be potential also if we were looking at training sessions or buying into training packages that had a broader application, whether we might collaborate with other town councils. We could work with Broadstairs or Westgate or whoever.
Yeah, perhaps through the Thanet Council, whatever it's called.
Area committee.
Yeah. Councillor Hetherington.
I think this is excellent. I mean, as a person who's not a double hatter, I think this can fit in as well around somebody who's working, because there's a big deterrent to people that are working becoming councillors.
Absolutely.
And I find it very difficult fitting everything in.
Absolutely.
I mean, whilst I'm not a huge fan of e-learning, I mean, it works within the NHS, and this is very much like an induction programme that you would get when you first joined the NHS, actually.
Yeah.
And I think this, and bite-sized chunks, an hour, online, when you can fit it in, is really a way forward with all of this. I think this is excellent, Laura, I really do. Because, I mean, when I first started, if it hadn't been, frankly, for Peter Campbell, who was the only person that actually had any experience as a councillor, we would have been totally at sea. I remember that very clearly. This will help.
Councillor Crittenden.
Yeah, I remember being rather overwhelmed my first day as Ramsgate Town Councillor when the then Town Clerk presented us all with a thick binder of everything from codes of conduct to standards and everything else, and it was like rather daunting. And frankly, I don't think I ever read it because I kept starting it and I never got through it. And I'm saying that, hands on, because I am...
I had nothing at all. I was co-opted midway through.
Well, yeah. Anyway, I think, so the reason I say that is because I think there is an element of, read the standing orders. Well, I've read so many standing orders from the Labour Party that, kind of they don't change much, and I would have skipped them for that reason, I will confess. But But just after a while, you start reading and I don't know about you, but I can read a whole page and my mind has done something else completely different. And I have to keep rereading the same page and in the end I give up. That's my brain. If you give me an e-learning where I've got to click buttons and answer questions and everything else and it's interactive, I will do a lot better. Yeah. So I really do like the e-learning ones for that reason. I might groan about it, but I like it for that reason. What I would add is, as Councillor Austin has said, we do regularly have conversations that are about encouraging TDC to include town and parish councillors in the training.
It's part of a scrutiny report, wasn't it? Recommendation.
Yeah, but particularly just a couple on here: equality, diversity, and inclusion essentials and standards in public life. In particular, if those are available through TDC, it's to TDC's advantage, and I think this is a selling point. I sit on the standards committee, and the biggest problem are town and parish councils. As far as complaints against what happens is, well, I say the biggest problem, but there are issues around this kind of thing, and it invariably comes back to those, not about how this council works, but the broader picture of what it means to be a councillor and responsibilities. Actually, no, I made that sound worse. It's not. There are issues, and quite often, it isn't necessarily the district councillors, it's town and parish. And I think, to them, there is an advantage in incorporating town and parish councils in the training because it might save them work.
We can always write to them.
Sorry?
We can always write to them and ask.
Well, I'm just offering it as a suggestion.
Chair, if I may, I did ask as chair of the council with TDC when they were having various things, and the answer was always yes. But whether they contact Laura and say, you've got this, so that needs to be...
Well, they just need to maintain a register, don't they?
Right. Chair, if I may, I have to say I've done a load of online stuff, and I don't particularly like it myself. Because you can't question it, you see what I mean? When you have someone giving you, telling you, but even so, that's the cost is there. But I've done a load of them. They're all right, but I think the problem with online teaching is that once you've done it, you forget it. But I do say that. Really, it comes down to a matter of common sense when you're looking at this, because it's behaviour. Effectively, the whole of the thing is behaviour and how you deal with it. And there's a lot of writing that really is not necessary. But I'm saying all of that, I agree. I think it's the right thing for us to have.
Yeah, and if you forget it, I mean, as in the NHS, you repeat it. You do it every couple of years as a professor. And this is what we could do here too. I mean, I agree with you about online training, but this is far more cost effective, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
It fills in gaps. In person's better, but this fills in gaps.
Yes, and you can't expect that much in person training. And as Jane says, you've got to be able to be flexible around people's...
To approve this as our training plan.
Yep, I'll propose it. We approve this as our training plan. Seconded, all those in favour? Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you.
Part 2, consider and adopting the Local Government Association's Councillor's Guide to Handling Intimidation as a policy. Yes, Temple.
Thank you, Chair. Safety of councillors has been something that has been brought up previously, and it was when considering the training plan that I became aware of this document. And I don't think it needs to be copied onto headed paper, but actually just saying this is what we do. I thought the content was very good and had some useful points in it.
Sorry, what are we on?
That makes sense. I mean, we have to be careful. You never know, do you?
You never know.
You're in a position that people don't like what you're saying, don't like what you do as a council and
I
as.
think most of us have probably received threats at different times.
But I'm fully supportive.
Yes.
I propose that we do adopt it.
Yeah.
Seconded? All those in favour? Thank you. Right, then, item 10 is policies and procedures. There are,
Thousands of them.
if I interpret V11 as 8 items. Eight items. Items 1, 4, 5, 6, and 8 are existing policies.
Okay.
We've had no problems.
We think are marvellous generally and would be
Yeah, I'm going to propose that we endorse those as of now.
Second.
Seconded, all those in favour? Carried. Item 2, review of representation on or work with external bodies and arrangements for reporting back. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. At the moment, we've got a policy in place explaining councillors and officers' roles on outside bodies and what can be expected from that body of the attendees, but we don't have anything in agreement for reporting back. So you've got a very brief statement on that there will be a standing agenda item for reporting back, so that actually everyone's informed of what's going on. With regard to written reports, I would say the easiest thing is actually to bring back the minutes of the meeting that you've attended. You don't need to write something new. Frequency of reporting, at least quarterly. If there's a request for council action, that should be its own separate agenda item. I mean, hopefully this is quite straightforward, but that is a new policy.
Yeah. Councillor Paget.
No, I think it's very clear. I mean, it's common sense. It flows. Yeah, I think the headings are nice, tight.
It's not always possible to report back because some things are confidential.
Yes.
In general.
Just the framework. You've got the framework there and the focus, and it's helpful.
They're coming from experience. I do know that sometimes some councillor updates can be very lengthy and very detailed. And so possibly the suggestion when they come to council is very much a snippet.
says,
Keep it tight.
no more than X length,
So, do we adopt this policy? I propose that we do.
Yes, second.
Seconded? All those in favour? It's carried. Item 3, part 2. The item is to review inventory of land and other assets, including buildings and office equipment. And item 2 is to consider a draft asset register policy. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. So the list of fixed assets is coming to you for annual review. But looking at this particularly before starting to enter all this information on our new accounts package, I think there's quite a lot on here. For example, our £20 toaster, that we can probably set a capitalised level that we could make the fixed asset register a little bit more purposeful. Speaking to other larger towns, it seems to be that £1,000 is a common threshold on what makes it onto the fixed asset register. It's not necessarily that what is on this list is what is on the insurance, but some councils do consider that for things below £1,000 you're unlikely to claim on your insurance. There's quite a lot possibly around the £800 mark, which I possibly would be wary of taking off. For example, all of our laptops at £700. I'd possibly feel odd if they were all taken off again. But I think at the moment it is a little bit too open to what's put on.
If you claim on something, is it like car insurance where you have to pay a lot more next year? Is that why that we should have a limit of what's worth claiming on?
So the key, actually the key purpose of the fixed asset list is it's part of our annual accounting statement.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily relate to the insurance picture. But if we're setting a new capitalisation threshold, that will be easy to explain to the auditor in a year's time. But I think we've got quite a lot on here, which I think we don't need to list.
Does our insurance have an excess amount?
£200.
Well, okay, the proposal is that it's got to be worth more than £1,000 to get on the asset list. All those in favour? Thank you. Let's carry on. And then the last bit of this item is item 7, review of council's policies for dealing with the press and media. We already have a communications procedure. The addition is to consider the draft online complaints flowchart.
Thank you, Chair. This comes from our good friends at Henley Town Council, and it was something that I picked up on one of my groups and spoke to Mr. Williams to say, would this be useful? And he said that actually when he's watching online how different members tackle things, he said it's a very mixed way of dealing with it, complaints on social media with varying degrees of success. So when he looked at this, he said it's good, it makes sense. I mean, even if it wasn't a formal policy, I'd say if you're not sure how to do something, how to respond, this is a good template.
I think it's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, is that agreed?
Yes.
Thank you. And then finally, to consider and approve a draft policy for the Mayor's Cadet. Didn't even know we had a Mayor's Cadet.
No, did I? I was quite surprised about that.
There was a little bit.
I didn't know.
There was a little bit of confusion with a Mayor's Cadet who wanted to do longer than a year. Which made us in the office think about, well, there are 4 cadet associations in Ramsgate, and only one of them has been invited to put forward a Mayor's Cadet. So we looked at how other towns work, and the proposal is that over the course of 4 years, each of the local cadet associations on a rotation is asked to put forward a member.
Makes sense.
And the Mayor is happy with this proposal.
What does the cadets do? Shadow?
Attend events with the Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that sounds fair and equitable. Anybody want to propose that we do it? I will, otherwise.
Propose that we do it. Sounds very reasonable.
Okay, all those in favour? Thank you.
Gives everyone a chance.
Next item is item 11, local government pension scheme, town clerk.
So the proposal is that from April 2026, all town and parish councils in the Kent Pension Fund would be grouped into a single pool with one employer contribution rate. The suggested pros are more stable predicted pension costs. I'm not familiar with these changing. It's been the set amount for this council for the 3 years that I've been here. It's never changed in 10 years at Sandwich Town Council. So that is a pro, but it's actually not a problem that I'm familiar with. Another pro, easier budgeting, but again, it's not something that varies. Reduced admin burden, I presume that's for KCC. It's not an admin burden for us. Shared risk lowers volatility, so that would be potentially true, and includes ill health and death risk protection. Cons are that some may pay slightly more than if assessed alone, and no opt-out option. So you could still opt out of the pension scheme altogether, but once you're in the pool, the council would not be able to opt out.
Could I ask about investment policy?
Not something that I can answer, I'm afraid.
Any comments?
Might this be affected by our unitary proposals? And would it be better to wait and see? I mean, I know KCC is fiddling with people's staff pensions, aren't they? Or they claim they will be. They're not letting new people join the pension scheme, and they're reducing the benefits for existing members.
I think that's an intention.
I know, they've got lots of intentions. Sorry, I was just wondering whether
Whether we should wait.
it shouldn't affect us.
Councillor Hetherington.
I'm just wondering what you think, because this is your pension and it affects you, actually. Whether you think this is.
So I say Kent County Council because they administer it, but the rules for the local government pension scheme can't be changed and skewered by individual areas.
So they're not going to be able to do this.
So I think places could pull out of the pension scheme altogether, but then there is a cost for buying out of the scheme. Personally, I can't picture what difference this makes.
I was hearing that in your voice when you were talking about it, so that's why I wanted to ask you, because I thought,
Well, people tend to think about that. Think in those terms about pension schemes, so you can put off thinking about, and you can't really. So, what do you want us to do? Could, is there any further advice available? Everybody? Do you think? And it's a good point about everything changing and soon.
It might not change.
I mean, there's time to try and seek advice from CALC and NALC Society of Local Council Clerks and come back to full council before the deadline.
Can we do that?
yeah.
A way forward? I propose that.
Second, yeah.
All those in favour? Thank you. That's the end of the meeting, other than confidential items. Do I have to read all this out?
Only if you can ask members to vote to exclude the press and public.
Yeah. I propose that we exclude the press and public to deal with confidential items. All those in favour? Everybody, thank you.